right? Creativity is a priority, and it's actually like a really big must in this project because you guys are trying to like think outside the box here, right? You're trying to take this traditional history stuff that we do and then turn it into kind of this larger project, right? But I need you guys to make sure that your images are very, very good quality, no grainy or pixelated images. I will take off points for poor quality images because aesthetics, the way that it looks, is a part of your grading criteria, which we will talk about in a minute. So as far as length requirements for this assignment, all right, so you need to get an Instagram account, obviously, right? If you don't have an account, make an account. It's free, it's easy, it's fast, right? Become acquainted with it. Watch a YouTube tutorial or two. I will probably post some for you, right? But when you're doing your posts, you need to have at least 15 posts, all right? But no more than 20 because I don't want to, let's not get crazy here, guys, all right? Each post should have 5 parts, all right? It should have an image, a caption, you should have evidence, you should have a link or a citation for that evidence, and you should have hashtags. I understand that links do not work inside of the captions of Instagram video or posts. That is totally okay. I just want you to have it there, okay? Captions should be, as I stated before, at least a paragraph, meaning 3 or more sentences. And I cannot stress this enough. 3 is the minimum, guys. And it will be really difficult to give your evidence and sources justice with just the minimum, all right? So I strongly encourage you to write more. And so when you're making posts, make sure you have at least 15 posts, and then at least 2 of your posts have multiple images so that you can kind of slide through them, right? And make connections between those images, right? Like, don't just make a bunch of posts, like images. Like, tell me what the images are and connect it to your topic, right? You can do that. And if you also need to have at least 2 stories at the top of your page with vlog type introductions to your topic on your feed header, all right? So you need to make sure that you have kind of like a video of yourself or like a recording of something, kind of explaining your topic and like a particular facet about it, all right? So like one of them I would like to at least be kind of this general overview, and then the other one I'd kind of like you to go into a little bit more in depth of at least like kind of like one facet of your topic, all right? So just pick something that's really interesting to you, and then you can talk about it, all right? So do not pick boring topics, guys. You will regret it, I promise you, all right? So let's take a look at the rubric, okay? So your rubric, let's look at it this way, okay? So your rubric asks you to kind of, this is what you're going to be graded on, okay? So you're essentially graded on your thesis statement, your content, your use of evidence, the visual appeal, the mechanics, and the completion, all right? It is worth 150 points, okay? And so I have kind of organized it into an excellent column, a good column, and a lacking components column, all right? And so essentially lacking components is going to be anything less than 10 points. This is going to be the middle range of points, and then this is probably going to be between 20 and 17 or 30 and 25 points, all right? And so I will circle and write on or I will make notes for you on a rubric and give you back feedback for your assignment, all right? You will always get feedback for your assignment, all right? I will never just give you a number and then move on, all right? You will always get feedback for assignments, okay? I encourage you to take the suggestions that I give you on your sample posts, which are going to be due in a couple weeks, and apply that to your final project, okay? Because I take those very, very seriously, all right? So in regards to a thesis statement, I posted a video on what makes a good thesis statement inside of the assignment guidelines, okay? So make sure you watch that, and I want you to have a really good statement that's present, creative, argumentative, makes a clear case for the central focus of your project, all right? This is an absolute must. If you do not have a thesis statement, or if I cannot find it because it's not actually a thesis statement, you don't get any points, right? Like if it's not there, then you get a 0, guys. So make sure that you have all the component parts, all right? So that's 20 points, all right? So that's a big deal. Just like, 1 to 2 sentences is worth 20 points out of your grade, all right? So in terms of content, this is worth 30 points. And what I'm grading you for on content is that it creatively introduces and accurately describes terms or individuals, addressing the typical problems, weaknesses, or actions that exemplify the subject, and that substantial content is present in each post. So I don't want you guys just to have, 2 sentences about it and then just wax poetic about something that doesn't have to do with anything, right? Like, so make sure that everything relates to each other, wanting full credit for your content. Use of evidence, all right? I absolutely need to see evidence inside of you guys' projects. I need to see your interpretations of the evidence. I'd like to see some direct quotes. I'd like to see some data or descriptions that support your evidence. I'd like to see tags or websites that cite your evidence assertions, right? And I know that I said do not use things like Wikipedia, but if you watch a documentary and you go to the documentary site, you can cite the site, all right? So that's what those kinds of things are for. I'd like to see multiple types of evidence, all right? So don't just give me all like newspapers if you find a bunch of newspapers on something, all right? No political, just all political pamphlets. Please, snooze fest, guys, all right? And so make sure you consider opposing opinions or positions when you're thinking about your argument, and that you're always kind of thinking about your argument in the back of your mind while you're talking about opposition statements, and that you kind of combat those with your own argument, all right? Make sure that you're synthesizing your evidence, which means to draw everything together and then present a general idea of it, to make new, relevant, and logical inferences, to like get your audience to be thinking about what it actually means, all right? So that's what I want to see inside of your evidence. Your evidence and your content are going to be very, very deeply tied together. It's actually really hard to separate these based on just grades. And so you know, if you don't do very well in content, you're probably not going to be doing very well in evidence either, right? And these are two very distinct categories, and so it is possible that you do really, really well in telling me what your evidence says, but then that's all you have is just evidence, right? And that you don't have any other creative content, right? But I ideally, these kinds of things are going to be like woven in together, all right? So visual appeal. All your images are present, they're creative, they cover a variety of topics related to the subject in a thoughtful way, and you have very good quality images, all right? No grainy, no pixelations, no sketchy, just like word, you know, like money with like, you know, a $20 bill on it with like Andrew Jackson. No, this is unacceptable, my friends. Make sure that they are relate to the topic, make sure that they're appropriate in the time period. And I'd like to see primary sources as a couple of your images if at all possible. I also grade you on how well you write. This is a writing assignment. It is a research project, right? And so obviously I'm going to be looking at mechanics. I'd like to see well-written complete sentences with appropriate grammar and punctuation. And I grade you on your completion, right? You need to have at least 15 posts thoroughly completed and focused on a topic that covers a wide range of content areas, clearly connecting idea in all points, and at least 2 stories present with at least 2 posts of multiple images. So if you don't finish part of your project, you will lose some very serious points. If you don't do half of your project, you don't just lose the 35 completion points, guys. It's also going to hit you on visual appeal because 15 posts is what it takes to fill a page, all right? It's going to hit you on evidence because you're only providing evidence on half your works, right? It's going to hit you on content because you're only providing content on half of the posts, okay? So this should be just cushion for your grade, all right? It should not hurt you. Completion should not hurt you. You should already have this as a minimum, all right? So make sure that you are doing all of these things to get a really, really good solid grade on your project and give you guys a nice little cushion, and also to provide a really, really great resource for other people to use in the future, because that's really what this is all about, all right? So I also like to take you guys to the main page of our project, all right? So I'm going to show you guys what the main page of the project looks like, all right? So if we go into our discussion board, so when we're inside of Blackboard, go into your course modules folder, all right? And inside of module 2, you will find all of the information for your Instagram assignment, folder, and it's going to have your project guidelines for the rubric that I just showed you, your assignment qualifications. This video will be inside of this page. So all of these things will be there for you. But also, I also have some Instagram examples, which is what I actually wanted to show you. We show you some projects that students have done in the past. I'm not going to say these are the best projects, but they're the projects that I think they're the closest of what I'm asking you guys to do, right? And so that's kind of what I want to be showing you guys. So here's one. It's on the Freedom Riders of 1961. And this student did a really, really good job of creating a beautiful visual synthesis. Inside of each of her posts, she has like a very, very nice kind of like paragraph describing it. She identifies people. She talks about organizations like the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, like the NAACP. And then when she talks about that organization, she then describes what it is, kind of like as a definition, right? So this is a really, really good example. On top of that, she has nice relevant hashtags and sources, all right? And so this is a really, really good example of what a really nice high quality project will look like, and that I would really encourage you guys to kind of model yourselves after. However, she does use a lot of websites, but these, even though they look like websites, are actually books, all right, which are found online, all right, or like that are referenced through another site, all right. So that is okay as long as it's a nice quality source, all right. So feel free to go onto Blackboard and look at these Instagram accounts to view as examples, and I really highly encourage you guys to do that. So and inside of here, I also have NASA, the American Museum of Natural History, and at Science and at TED. Those are all really, really good resources and examples of what really good, solid informational posts look like. So use those as models too, although they do not cite their information because they're their own information, right? NASA does not have to cite NASA, they're NASA, right? And so this is kind of a look at what I want the Instagram assignment to look like, what kind of the goals I want you guys to be getting at are. And kind of like what you guys should be moving towards. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to message me in the discussion board. I will be more than happy to respond to your questions inside of the Instagram discussion board. So feel free to post any questions, all right? I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with as your topics, and see you later.